भवतु सहनो भुनाक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Okay, Shonam, now I am making you host.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you can continue. Okay.
Okay.
I will follow you, but if I am not, please you don't mind. Okay.
No problem, sir. No problem. Ashmita and Payal, so do you remember what we have learned previously? Anything about BEOS that we have learned? Do you remember it? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll revise some of it and then we'll move on to our next step. I'll share my screen. Till now, what we have learned is about EEG, fMRI. Then we have also learned about brain fingerprinting, where we have learned that how P300 can be used in the form of remembrance of any event, a recognition of any event. Now, when we talk about BEOS specifically, we are talking about the experiential knowledge of the person. Experiential knowledge in the sense that it is recognizing, at the same time it is showing the signs of remembrance in the person. Recognizing is very simple in terms of person's perception, in the sense that you see an apple, you recognize it, right? You see a person, you recognize it. You see any kind of place, you recognize it, irrespective of you have any kind of personal experience with that apple, person, or place, right? But when we talk in terms of experience, we are talking more in terms of personal experience that you have acquired either through participation in that particular event or through witnessing that event. And those, both the experiences that you have by the participation or by witnessing it, these will be completely different, right? So when we are talking about crime is an experience for the perpetrator, which means the person who has committed the crime, are accused, suspect, whatever you call him or her. It's an experience for him because he is actually committing some kind of action while committing the crime, right? So initially we have learned about the autobiographical memories, how we create experience, how experience is different. Like for example, if you are witnessing any kind of experience from one corner of your room, it will be different from the experience that you will have from the another corner of the same room. So it is that specific. It tells you your experience from different angles, and it is also very much specific in what you are what experience you are having in your what experience you have stored in your brain. Okay, so but we have learned, okay, experiential knowledge and everything, but how do you actually get this experiential knowledge from the particular person, right, when you are conducting the BEOS? So we are going to see this in different stages of profiling. Stages of BEOS profiling. Stage 1 is, first you start with the interview of IO and the subject. What kind of probes you are going to make when you don't have any kind of material, right? The material which is going to help you in making the probes, you will get it from the interview of IO and the suspect, and you get both of them separately. right? We'll see the relevance of interviewing the IO and relevance of interviewing the suspect in our probe making sessions. But what the material that you are going to get to make the probes, you will get it from the IO and the subject. Now you have the material. What you are going to do next is design scenarios and probes using guidelines for designing scenarios and probes that I'm going to tell you. Focus on designing scenarios and probes. BEOS is very specific in terms of sequencing, in terms of how you present the probes. Okay, so when you are presenting the probes, it should be presented in a sequence, in sequence of action, in sequence of your witnessing what happened. It should be very specific, and it should have scenarios. For example, scenario of the crime scene, scenario of the action, scenario of how you escaped, scenario of what happened afterward. So you have to make scenarios, and that's how you are going to fit your probes into those scenarios. Got it? Third is your record probes and event marker for scenarios and probes and the presentation schedule of the probes. See, we have probes. We have not learned yet what is probe. We have event marker. We have scenarios. We have learned scenarios. Scenarios are your specific event, like event of entering into the crime scene, event of staying into the crime scene, event of action onto the crime scene, event of escaping, and event of afterwards. Now, third thing you do is you have made your probes. You have to record them. You have to record them either through audio mode or through video mode. So there are two types of probe presentation. Either you present it in the form of voice or audio, or you present it in the form of a video, in form of pictures. And event marker. You cannot fit the probes into the system until and unless you have marked them. You have the event marker for each and every probe, right? Got it? Is it clear till now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Till now it's clear.
So what is probe? Probes are nothing but the statement that you have chosen to present from the interview of IO and subject. Now, how do you make your statement is more important. For example, the IO has said that, okay, this person entered the crime scene, right? So you cannot just go with this particular statement, okay, this person entered the crime scene. You have to be very specific in making that statement. This person, which person, right? Either you give it a name or give it in the form of first person, or if it's a witnessing thing, give the name, right? For example, if you're asking the suspect, so you will say, I entered the crime scene. Entered the crime scene from where? Front door, back door, from the window, or somebody accompanied you. So you have to design your proofs very specifically. I entered the particular place, the name of the place at this particular time from here. That's how you are going to get your experiential knowledge and the very concrete evidence that, okay, this particular probe has generated the experiential knowledge in the particular person or has provoked the remembrance of the particular experience, right? Now, event marker we'll learn in our next slides. So the definition of probe is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Stages of BEOS profiling, second stage. Now acquaint the suspect with scenario and probe. Do you remember, both of you, that initially when we are going for the brain fingerprinting, we were focused more onto the on one thing, that person should not be aware of what is going to be presented to him, right? Otherwise, it will hamper our result. Here, we intentionally acquaint the suspect with the scenario and probes. Why? Because, see, acquainting and recognizing the scenarios and probes will not generate the experiential knowledge until and unless you have participated in it. You have participated either directly or you have participated through witnessing the event, right? So here you actually acquaint the suspect with the scenarios and probes, and you say to the suspect that this is the thing which we are going to ask to you, right? Because it is not going to hamper your result. It's not going to create any kind of experiential knowledge in the person. It will have the effect on the recognition, which we are not checking into the BEOS. We are checking the remembrance of the event. We are checking the experiential knowledge. So we acquaint the suspect with the scenarios and probes, record the probe using visual and auditory stimulus. Either way, you can record your probes. Either you have made the probes, you have feed the probes into the system, and then you record it, or you might you have recorded it in the form of auditory stimulus, or you may have the pictures, you may have anything in physical evidences that you want to show the person that might create the that might provoke the experiential knowledge. Then you feed it through the visual stimulus in the programming, which is WES in the computer. WES is the name of the program where you feed the probes where the BEOS happened. Acquaint the suspect with test details and instruction. You give the person test details like what is going to happen, what we are going to do, and the instructions which he or she has to follow during the process of BEOS, right? What are the test details? Test details are, we are going to get you sit to this particular chair. We are going to get you attached or hooked up to the EEG cap, which is gel based. We are going to put gel onto your scalp through EEG channels, and then we are going to present the probes. Light will be dim or something like this. So these are the test details. The probes will be in the form of audio or video. Either you will listen to some kind of voices, or you will see some kind of stimulus, right? Most important thing that you have to get an written informed consent. You cannot conduct BEOS on any suspect until and unless you have the consent. One more thing, BEOS is only conducted when you have the court orders on any suspect. If the court has given the order that, okay, this person has to go through the BEOS conduction, then only you make the probe, you meet to the IO and the suspect, make the probes and everything, and then conduct the BEOS. Second most important thing is that you have to obtain a written informed consent from the person. If the person does not consent to the test, you will not be able to conduct the test, right? It's their right. So two things are there. You get the court orders, and you get the written informed consent from the particular suspect. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Profiling stage third. The instructions, details I have given you that you are going to get sit to the particular chair, EEG cap will be attached, gel and everything. Instructions are stay calm with eyes closed and listen to the probes. No need to respond to probes in any manner. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to act to anything. You just have to stay calm and sit onto the particular chair and listen to the probes. Remain alert and listen to the probes, as the suspect will be requested to recall them after the test is over. So whatever the probes we are going to present to the particular suspect, we ask him to remain alert and listen to them so that he might remember these particular probes, because we are going to ask them after the test is over that we have asked these things. Did you feel something? Inform examiner if test needs to be paused. So sometimes it happens that maybe the event is too much gruesome or too much personal for the particular person, that he might feel the need to stop the test and take a deep breath or something like this, or he might not feel physically well to conduct the test. He might ask the examiner who is conducting the test to pause the test, or he might abort the test. Instructions regarding posture, position of head, etc. Instruction about posture and position of head is in such a way that it's an armchair where the person is made to sit. In the armchair, you have to rest both of your arms at each of the armrests, and you have to keep your head straight. You cannot move the head while the test is conducted, because it will interfere with the EEG on the screen. and it might hamper the result. It might reflect the articulation in the result. Okay. Now the instructions is over. Neuropsychological principle for probe designing is, how do you design the probe? It should be in the sequence of event, like how things have happened, what has happened, and after that, and after that, and after that. As I have given the example that first you enter the crime scene, you stay on the crime scene, you commit some actions. After the action, you escape the crime scene, and then afterward, what has happened. So the sequence of event is important. Sequence of components of the event. Sequence of event that entered the crime scene. Component of event, from where you entered, what were you wearing, how you entered, did you open the door, and everything. So these are the components that constitute the event. If you have stayed on the crime scene, then what did you do? Action is like, did you use weapon, or did it happen like through your physical assault and everything. So these are some of the components of the event. Sequence of actions and fixing contextual specificity of the actions and experience. It should be contextual specific. Like you cannot talk, you are talking about entering the crime scene and then you suddenly talk about escaping. It should be contextual specific. If you're talking about entering, you talk about the entering event, entering component. You don't talk about the some other event, right? So you should make the sequence a contextual specific event. Description of components of action. Each and everything should be explained in detail, right? So you should give the description of what has happened. The more description you give in your probes, the more you are going to get accurate results. Sequence and description of perceptual component. Perceptual component is what you have perceived during the event. If you have entered, what you have perceived, the light was dim, I could not see, the light was too much, or I was seeing very clearly. So these are some of the perceptual component. I only looked at the back, I assumed this. So you also have to give the description of the perceptual component. Description of emotional arousal. As I said, emotional arousal, being more involved in the crime, being more personal to the crime, there may be some kind of emotional arousal. For example, if the thing has happened between two people who have known each other or were much more involved with each other has some personal bonding. During the commission of crime, it might happen that the person may feel scared, terrible, or more violent, or any kind of event. So these emotional arousals should also be described. Verbalization of action, perception, emotion, and intention. Whatever has happened, you have to verbalize it. For example, I stabbed the person with knife. I have committed this action. So stabbing the person with knife, verbalize this action. It's not like I killed the person. You have to verbalize the action also. I could only look from the back, so I assumed he sorry. So I assumed that he was the right person or he was my friend. So I only looked from the back. I did not confirm that this person was the particular person with whom I wanted to commit a specific act, I wanted to kill or something like this. So I assumed from the back that this was the right person and I committed the act. So this was your perception. Emotions. I felt terrible. I felt sad. I felt very happy while committing the action. So you have to verbalize these emotions. And intention. I was very angry that I wanted to throw something at this person and I wanted to kill the person. That was the intention. Killing the person was intention. So you have to be very specific in intention. Sometimes intention is not about killing or hurting somebody. Sometimes intention is about defending yourself. Right? So you have to be very specific with intentions also. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt?
No, ma'am. Till now it's clear.
It's clear? Good.
Till now, no doubt, ma'am.
No doubt, right? So we were talking about tropes and event markers, right? When you are working with VEST system, the system where you conduct the BEOS, it does not take the probes without the event marker. What are the event marker? Event marker are the way you recall something. For example, are you recalling the place? So your event marker will be place recall. Are you recalling some kind of personal experience? Then your event marker will be personal recall, PSR. Are you recalling any kind of time related thing that at 8:30 this happened? Then it's a time recall. If you are remembering in terms of third person that he came to me, it's a third person recall. Visual recall, you recall some kind of visualization that I saw this person committing this act. That's a visual recall. Action recall is he kicked me or I stabbed. I committed some kind of action there. That's an action recall. Visual imagery recall. Well, visual recall as well as the action recall, both are combined. And then emotional recall, where you feel some kind of emotions, right? So these are the some kind of event markers. Okay. Is event marker clear? You cannot feed the probe into the system until and unless you mark each and every probe of yours with event markers. I'll tell you an example. How do you mark? How do you make the probe? Everything. Don't worry about it. Just look at the concept. First, initially, you have to have the scenarios. Then you have the probes which are contextual specific with the scenarios. Then you have the event marker. Three things till now, right? Now, how do you make the probes? These are the types of probes, right? First is neutral probes, second is control probes, third is target A probes, and fourth is target B probes. What are neutral probes? Neutral items used for detection of cementing processing, right? Like wind blows, 2 plus 3 is 5, everything which is cementing, which is which belongs to your concrete thinking, right? It's not creative, it's concrete thinking, cementing thinking, which we have learned over the time period. For example, wind blows, hawa behti hai, 2 plus 3 is 5, sun is hot, grass is green. These are your neutral probes. Neutral probes are done to see the comparison, right? Obviously, how you're going to compare your experiential knowledge ka EEG with any other EEG unless you have the neutral probes and control probes. Control probes are the probes which does not have anything relevant to the crime scene, but it is relevant to the person. The scenario of event confirmed by the suspect and the investigating officer. ये वाला जो control probe होता है, this is the event which is both confirmed by both the suspect and the investigator. For example, details of marriage, occupation, detail of suspect, name, age, everything. So these are the control probes which is being confirmed by the suspect as well as the investigator. Target A probes are the probes which is target scenarios, event action suspected to have occurred, committed by the suspect, which the suspect denies. These are the action that investigator has said that this person has committed, but the suspect said I have not committed. So these are the scenarios that the person, the suspect denies, but the investigator says that, okay, this person has committed this particular act. I'll give you an example. I say that Payal has killed Ashmita. I'm an investigator. Payal is a suspect. Ashmita is a victim. I say that Payal has killed Ashmita. But now Payal denies this, that I have not killed Ashmita. I say Payal was there with Ashmita. Payal say, no, I was not there with Ashmita. So can you see that I am claiming that Payal has done something while Payal is denying that I have not done anything. So these probes will come into the category of target A, right? Target B is the suspect version of event that took place, which the IO does not agree with. For example, Ashmita say at this Payal says at this particular time I was with someone else. I was here, I was doing this, these things, right? It's suspect version. But I say no, this does not happen. This thing happened that I have told you. So target B happens when suspect said that I have done this, but the IO denies. Got it? Target कैटेगरी वन लिटरल प्रोब सीमेंटिंग प्रोसेसिंग होता है, कंट्रोल प्रोब्स होता है, इवन कंफर्म बाय बोथ सस्पेक्ट एंड द इन्वेस्टिगेटर. टारगेट ए प्रोब होता है, investigator agrees but the suspect denies, basically investigator's version, and target B is your suspect version. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
If there is any doubt, you can ask.
Oh, ma'am, target 1 and 2 are clear. Means target 1 is just it's direct questions, and target 2 is kind of we are giving the explanation to it, details of that particular incident. Am I right or not?
No. So see, target A में क्या होगा कि जो भी investigating officer है, right? He will have some version of the crime. ठीक है. Target B में जो भी आपने suspect किया है कि this person might have committed the act, उसका भी एक कोई version होगा कि मैंने नहीं किया है.
Right.
मैंने नहीं किया है वाला version suspect का. तो target A में हम कौन सा data लेते हैं? Investigator का. तो हम probe किस basis पे बनाएंगे? जो investigator वाला data होगा.
Okay.
Right? टारगेट बी में हम कौन सा वर्जन लेंगे? सस्पेक्ट वाला. तो हम प्रोब बनाएंगे जो सस्पेक्ट वाला वर्जन होगा.
ओके.
इस तरीके से बीओस 2 बार कंडक्ट होता है.
ओके.
एक बार होता है जो इन्वेस्टिगेटर का वर्जन है वो, एक बार होता है जो सस्पेक्ट का वर्जन है. सो यू ऑल्सो सी द कंपेरिजन कि कौन झूठ बोल रहा है, कौन सच बोल रहा है. राइट? गॉट इट?
यस मैम.
इज इट क्लियर नाउ? Ashmita, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the example of some of the probes. That's how you make the probes. In first person, I was informed of the meeting. I was told that the meeting would be in Indonesia. Okay, I was informed of the meeting is an incident record, right? I was told that the meeting would be in Indonesia. You can see the mention of a place. So we can say place record. I was called for the meeting, incident record. I left for Indonesia a day before the meeting, place and time, both record. I arrived at the Palam airport, place record. I arrived at 10 p.m., time record. I went by a night flight, incident record. I went by IE flight, incident record. I was surprised to see Peter in the plane. Peter is person, so that's called person record. Peter said he was attending the meeting. Peter said he was attending the meeting. Here comes the third person. So it's a third person record. I reached Indonesia in the morning. That is your time record. Night was there at Indonesia airport. That is your person record. He had come to receive me. That is incident record. Peter avoided meeting night. Incident record. Avoided, it can also comes under emotion record. Night took me to Hotel Sapphire, which is a place record. Got it? That is how you make the probe. Samjha?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before that, I would tell you. Okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see a text file, new file that I have opened?
No, ma'am, it's the same PPT. I was informed of the meeting and I was told that the meeting would be in Indonesia.
Yeah, I'll share it again. Okay. So the probes are made onto the text file. ठीक है, टेक्स्ट डॉक्यूमेंट में आपका प्रोब बनता है, वर्ड फाइल में प्रोब नहीं बनता है। जो वेस्ट सिस्टम पे होता है, यू मेक योर प्रोब फाइल ऑन अ टेक्स्ट डॉक्यूमेंट फाइल. Okay, now can you see now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Here you see scenario 1, you give the neutral probes. What are your neutral probes? Roses are red, 2 plus 2, 4, sun is hot, grass is green. 4 neutral probes are good enough, right? You give 10 to 20 seconds for one probe and then 10 second, 5 to 10 second break, and the next probe will start. It start automatically, you don't have to do anything, right? When you start the test, it gives 10 to 20 seconds for one probe to complete, then a 5 to 10 second break, and then the next probe comes, and then the same cycle repeats, right? Scenario 2 is your control probes. Control probes is about the person which both IO and the suspect has agreed on. And you can't dispute on your name, right? You can't dispute on your occupation. You can't dispute on the place that you live. That will be confirmed by both of them, right? You can't say ki, I'm saying you are Payal and Payal is saying I'm not Payal. So you can't dispute on the name. I'm saying you are a student. You are saying, no, I'm not a student, but you are a student. You can't dispute on that. So these are the control probes that are confirmed by both the suspect and the investigator. So first is, my name is Nisha. I'm a student. I'm from Delhi. I study in Gujarat, or any kind of control probe that both the investigator and the suspect agreed on. This is just an example. Now, scenario 3rd, which I have taken, is crime scene detail, right? So, IR is event recall. Now, here you see TR at 8:30 p.m. That is your time recall. I went to hostel. That is your place recall. I saw Swati hanging by fan. That is your visual recall. I felt numb. That is your personal recall. I picked up the phone and called Neha. That is your action virtual recall. Got it? Now, when you have made the probes, like, it's not compulsory that you make 4 probes into one scenario. That's not the case. Neutral probe, you take most normally 4 probes. Control, you take mostly 4 to 5 probes. And scenario wise, you can take probes, but it should be contextually fixed to the scenario, right? Now I can carry on with the crime scene detail every in this particular scenario whenever I have some extra information. Like, iske baad bhi mere paas bahut kuch information hoga, I'll add it to it. So it's not normally, it's not fixed to the 4 probes. You can add it like 30, 40, 50 probes tak bhi jata hai, right? Then scenario 3 hone ke baad scenario 4 aayega, scenario 5 aayega. You start from the beginning and you wrap it up from the ending. So that's how you give the sequence to your probing. That's how you make the probes. And then uske baad kya hota hai, you feed it, and you feed your audio into the system. There is a audio recording system where you read out these probes, and then these audio probes are transferred to the another system, and from there it is presented to the particular person. So he does not see the screen, he listens to the voice. If these are audio probes, and if there are visual probes, then he will be able to see the screen. Got it?
ठीक है मैम.
समझा? अभी इसमें एक और catch. The catch is that if the suspect is female, then the audio will be of a female. If the suspect is a male, the audio of the pros will be of male. Okay? समझा ये? अपने को 3-4 चीजें.
Ma'am, is there any specific reason for that कि मतलब male है तो female,
Yes.
female है तो male?
Identification.
Okay.
Identification with the voice. Now I ask Payal, like I ask you, remember any of the personal event, right? And I start giving you the male voice. Will you be able to concentrate and remember it well?
Yeah.
No, the experience. The experience will be in your own voice, right? That is feminine.
Mm-hmm.
If you are remembering something, for example, if you are recalling your conversation with your friend,
Mm-hmm.
your experience will be in feminine voice,
Right.
right? That's how you're going to recall it. If
Mm.
I am going to get you recall some of your experiential knowledge, I have to present it in feminine voice so that it is more concrete,
Okay.
right?
So,
अगर मेल का आएगा तो वो आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाएगा वॉइस से, अगर वो फीमेल वॉइस सुनेगा। उस सेम टाइम में अगर फीमेल मेल वॉइस सुनेगी तो वो आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाएगी,
okay. Okay.
राइट?
Okay.
सी विद द रियल लाइफ एग्जांपल, अगर हमें भी कोई कॉन्वर्सेशन अपना रिकॉल करना होता है और हमें अपनी तरफ से कुछ रिकॉल करना है, तो वी हैव आवर फेमिनाइन वॉइस इन आवर हेड,
Same gender is followed.
same gender is followed.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Now there is one practical. Read this particular statement. You have to make the probes the way I have shown you, and I'll give you, like अभी 7:45 हुआ है, I'll give you time till 8, 15 minutes. You read it, make the probe, and then we'll discuss the probe.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. You also, one more thing, you also have to make the neutral and control probe. There are enough material for the control probe. Neutral, you can think on your own. Is there any difficulty? Are you doing it like smoothly?
Trying, ma'am.
Oh, no problem. Can we try? Are you done, both of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you want to like share what you have made, the probes?
Ma'am, I have written, first is, my name is Michael.
Yeah.
I'm a police officer.
Okay.
The assault was related to bodily harm.
Okay.
The place was Carriage 34.
Hmm.
It was located in Bishop's Ward.
Okay.
I found that there have been 2 previous assaults at the same place.
Okay.
Initially, police was not allowed.
Okay.
This is the thing that I have written.
Everything good? No worries in this. Did you make the scenarios too?
Scenario 2, no, ma'am.
No. Okay. See, abhi ke liye, because it was our initial and obviously nobody learns in first. What we are going to do is, I'm going to share the PPT with you. Okay. And make it like, as we have seen na neutral probe, control probe, scenario 1, like scenario 3 mein your context, right? Scenario 4, scenario 5, scenario wise.
Okay.
Okay. So that you are ready with putting your probes into the system and like recording it in audio form.
Okay.
But you are aware with the concept, like abhi concept समझ आ गया कि कैसे बनाना है probe,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay. So everything good with it? Can we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So initially the system looked like this, but right now it's more of like this. Okay. The person is made to sit on the table, on the chair, arms on both the side, then EEG cab, which is attached to amplifier and which is attached to another system. Now this is, as you see the photograph, it's an example of your video probe, right? There is another example where you listen to the probes, that is auditory probes. And this is how the screen looks. Okay, the screen where you show the EEG of the channels, like particular channels में कौन सी activity हो रही है. Effect of probes. Now, what is the effect of probe? We are talking about probe, event marker, scenario, and everything. But what is the effect of these probe? A probe is expected to elicit several neurocognitive changes at the electrophysiological level in the brain. So, obviously, if you are attaching EEG, at some point of time, you are going to check the neurocognitive changes, which is going to be shown by EEG, which is your electrophysiological level changes. It shows the sensory registration. It shows the attention shift. It shows the encoding that you have recognized it, understood the probe, but you don't have any kind of like remembrance. Okay, recognition hai, remembrance nahi hai. Remembrance of experience, attention shift mein recreation of mental imageries representing experience. Okay. Now I'll tell you one thing that happens. Probe, when you are presenting the probe in BEOS, and if the person does not pay attention or may fall asleep, the probe does not go on further. The probe stops. There is no auditory stimulus or visual stimulus to the person, right? Until and unless you are alert, you are listening to probe, there is some kind of neurocognitive attention to this particular part of the brain, it does not go on. The probe will stop at that particular time. So for BEOS, for you to conduct BEOS, the suspect or the person on whom you are conducting BEOS, the person should be alert, right? Otherwise, there will be no sensory registration, there will be no attention shift, no encoding, no remembrance. So the person should be alert enough to show the sensory registration, show the attention shift, show the encoding, which show recognition and understanding, and remembrance of experience. Now, one another thing is that when you are remembering the experience, there is recreation of those mental imageries representing experience. It's like story. Whenever we listen to any kind of story, we start recreating it, right, in our mind. For example, if you listen to the scenery of beaches, you create beaches. If you listen to the scenery of mountains, you create mountains. Any kind of animal, you create that animal in your mind, right? So whenever you listen to the experience or any kind of event, and if you have experienced it, you go ahead with your experience. You know what is going to happen, what next is going to come, because you have given that account. So there is recreation of mental images representing those experiences. A probe may provoke remembrance of personal past experience. What is measured is not the reaction to the semantic content of a probe, but the process of remembrance provoked by the probe. It's not checking your semantic reaction to the semantic content. Semantic content is your wind is blowing to +2, grass is green. This is your semantic content, जो already available है, जो contextual होता है. This is not measuring your reaction to it. Instead, it's measuring your remembrance. कि आप जो भी चीज remember कर रहे हो through your experience, this is measuring that particular thing. A probe may provoke remembrance of experience through autobiographical episode. Initially, it was remembrance of personal past experience. Now it is autobiographical episode, which has happened to you, your autobiographical memories. Contextual specificity of the probe is utmost important for relating experiential knowledge with the action event referred by the probe. Contextual specificity, which we have already talked about, that it should be contextual specific. It should not be like scenario one में बोल आप कुछ रहे हो but आ कुछ और रहा है, ठीक है? It is of utmost important because that is how your autobiographical memory works. For example, if you remember some kind of event that has happened to you where you have participated, you see it in a sequence. ऐसा नहीं होता कि एक चीज हो गई उसके बाद दूसरी चीज irrelevant आ गया and then तीसरी चीज आई और फिर वापस से sequence शुरू हुआ. That is a form in your memory in a sequential matter. तो contextual specificity भी होना चाहिए, important होता है relating to the experiential knowledge with the action event occurred by the probe. जो भी probe आपको present कर रहे. That is why we have already said कि probe में sequencing और contextual specificity is more important. Otherwise आपका concrete and accurate result नहीं आएगा. A probe may provoke remembrance of experience, that of action committed. Now, action committed either by being present at the site or by participating, like acting, talking, witnessing, listening, emoting. कोई भी आपका emotion involve हो गया या आप उसमें खुद act कर रहे हैं या आप खुद बातें कर रहे हैं या witness कर रहे हैं कोई भी event या सिर्फ सुन रहे हैं, तो ये वाली चीज से भी आपका एक experience क्रिएट होता है आपकी मेमोरी में किसी भी टाइप का. अगर आप सिर्फ दो लोगों की बातें भी सुन रहे तो आपको वो बात सुनते हुए भी एक एक्सपीरियंस आएगा कि मैंने बातें सुनी, इस एंगल से बातें सुनी. सो दैट इज हाउ यू आर क्रिएटिंग द एक्सपीरियंस एंड दैट इज हाउ इट इज बीइंग स्टोर्ड इन योर मेमोरी. A probe may provoke remembrance of experience. For example, irrelevant probe could also trigger confabulatory remembrance, which is the system cannot differentiate from what it looks for. For example, if you are listening to your name, obviously you have experience with your name. If you are listening to your occupation, you have experience with your occupation. So sometimes it also create the confabulatory remembrance toward your name. जो control probe के साथ होता है, name के साथ, occupation के साथ, your personal life के साथ. So from there it cannot differentiate from what it looks for कि आप क्या देखना चाह रहे हो उसमें, but it does not matter with the BEOS because actually you have scenario wise data and scenario wise result which is automatically detected by the system. The electrical activity from the brain is recorded and stored in the computer and analyzed for automatic detection of different type of responses. As we have already said, Electrical activity from the brain is recorded in the form of EEG and stored in the computer in the form of data that you are in the form of particular tests that you are conducted and analyzed for automatic detection. The software automatically analyzed the data for the detection of several parameters like primary processing, encoding plus, your experiential knowledge, your emotional response. So it is automatically detecting all these measures of different type of responses. Automatic analysis and report generation, single trial analysis. Response to each probe is interpreted. It interprets each and every probe for the single analysis. For example, every probe has their own analysis. Every probe, for example, my name is Sonam. This particular statement will have separate analysis in the BEOS report. I work at this particular place. This particular probe will have separate analysis. In the similar manner, whatever probe you have represented in the scenario form, each single probe will have separate analysis, and that is how you can also pinpoint that this particular statement, this particular probe has the experiential knowledge being shown in the result for that particular person. Okay, the NSS analysis and generate interpreted report, and it automatically generate the report, so you don't have to do any kind of manual work. Or statistical analysis using 0.001 level of probability, which is 99% from the research point of view. This is how it looks whenever you are showing the probe personal information. I am Jordan, Canada is my house, Canada is cold. These are the probes. Scenario 1, you can see scenario 2, normal scenario 1, scenario 3, normal scenario 2. So that is how you stored the probes, and that is how you present the probes. Right? Brain electrical activity 2. These are just the example that I'm showing. Now, okay, see this. Scenario 1, your personal information. You also give the description to your scenarios. So scenario 1 here is the personal information. I am Dr. Jordan. Canada is my home. Canada is cold. So here can you see signature mein experiential knowledge. Nil. Artifact, it's showing artifact could be because of several reasons. Like if there is head movement, artifact can be there. If the person is thinking about something else, artifact can be there. Right? Now the process is primary processing, which means the person is trying to process the particular information. Here also the primary processing, here also the primary processing. Here you can see the experiential knowledge. Experiential knowledge is emitted, which means living in Dubai has some personal experience for this particular person, right? Then experiential knowledge. These are nil, which means the experiential knowledge is there, but we cannot concretely say that it's showing any kind of personal experience or not. Right? Now, Kathy lives with me. Kathy might be anyone which has some personal significance for the particular person. That is why showing the experiential knowledge, right? That is how the brain electrical oscillation signature profiling result looks like. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubt till now?
Once I have to go through the video once again.
No problem. I'll share the PPT.
We are like going through this for the first time, so it's sometimes a bit of confusing.
Yes, and you also need some kind of practical experience, like working on the system itself will give you more clarity. Right?
Right.
So we'll move on to now essential condition for successful BEOS examination. कोई भी examination conduct करने से पहले you have some kind of conditions, right? BEOS की क्या condition है? First, I have said the consent. The subject has the right to refuse the test, right? There must be a written consent if the test is taken voluntarily. No consent is required in cases where BEOS is carried out on court orders. See, this is little bit of confusing. Like अगर court order है, तो we say कि consent की जरूरत नहीं है, but still we ask for the consent, and if the person is denying, then we do not conduct the test. But on the same side, what happens is if the court has ordered for the test, rarely the person denies to take the test, right? The person automatically say कि okay, हमें करने दो test. ऐसा होता है. तो consent तो हम लेते ही लेते हैं. Even if the court orders are there, we take the consent. And if the person refuses, we cannot conduct the test because result का कोई मतलब नहीं बनेगा. BEOS system, वीडियो इंटीग्रेटेड EEG होता है, हाई क्वालिटी नॉन पोलराइजिंग इलेक्ट्रोड्स होते हैं, एंड कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर होता है. एग्जामिनर शुड बी ट्रेन्ड एंड ही शुड हैव द मिनिमम डिग्री ऑफ PhD in psychology. PhD in psychology, forensic psychology. He should be trained enough. That is our most concerned matter. He should have the knowledge. He should know how to make the proofs, present the proofs, how to interpret it. He should be trained enough to conduct the BEOS. Examining, he should be under good physical and mental condition. He should not suffer from any physical or mental disease. He should not be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. अगर ड्रग और अल्कोहल का इन्फ्लुएंस होगा तो ऑब्वियसली वो अलर्ट स्टेट ऑफ माइंड में नहीं होगा, तो प्रोब कंडक्ट ही नहीं होंगे. BEOS का एग्जामिनेशन रूम इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट एलिमेंट of the system. Room should be electrical proof because we are putting the EEG on the person's head. It must be air conditioned. There should be one side mirror in the room so that you can see the person. There must be CCTV and recording system in the room. That is for the legal parameters as well as for the test parameters. Privacy, only the examiner and examinee must be present in the room where BEOS is conducted, and we are also following this particular practice that if there is some kind of suspect from a crime, like from any kind of crime, only the examinee and examiners are staying in the room, but the security is staying out of the room. So alert type में होता है ना कि अगर criminal है तो सिक्योरिटी तो हो गई, लेकिन उसको थोड़ा बाहर ही रखते हैं अपना, ताकि अगर कुछ भी उल्टा सीधा अलर्ट, कुछ भी ऐसी कंडीशन होती है जो थोड़ा आपका अटेंशन और अलर्ट कर देती है आपको, तो सिक्योरिटी तुरंत आ जाए. बट प्राइवेसी दी जाती है. द एग्जामिनर एंड एग्जामिनी आर ओनली प्रेजेंट इन द रूम वेयर BEOS इज कंडक्टेड, राइट. सेंसिटिविटी एंड स्पेसिफिसिटी जो हम लोगों ने पहले ही डिस्कस की थी, it's sensitive as well as it's very specific because it's giving the single analysis, which means for every probe there is a different interpretation, different analysis. हर probe का analysis दे रहे हैं वो, तो it's very sensitive and specific. Type 1 error, type 2 error, just for understanding. Type 1 error होता है when null hypothesis is true but we reject it. Type 2 is when it's false but we fail to reject it. This is just EKV sequence, EKV across scenario, reference line, just how you make it for the research purpose. BEOS is used as an aid to investigation and it is used as a corroborative evidence, right? Now, when we are talking about BEOS and corroborative evidence, it is mostly used because first of all, in BEOS, there is no incriminatory statement which is given by the suspect, right? As per the right of the suspect, nobody can ask the incriminatory statement from the suspect and use it against him. In BEOS, we are not asking for any kind of response from the person. We are not asking him to say anything. Like polygraph, we are asking yes or no. Narco analysis, we are asking for the whole story. But in BEOS, we do not ask for any system. Ask for any response, and because there are no response from the person, there is no incriminatory statement. It's just the experiential knowledge which is given by the system, not manually. So we cannot even manipulate it, right? We cannot be biased with it. So that is why it is used most as a corroborative evidence and an aid to investigation. Now I'll tell you one example where it was conducted and it gave a brilliant result. Was the Nithari murder cases, where he himself confessed about number of crime that he has number of murders that he has committed. So that, and it was shown in the particular system that yes, he has experience of committing these number of murders. So that's how specific BEOS was. It's used as an aid to investigation and as a corroborative evidence in the court. This was it for BEOS. Okay, any question?
No, ma'am.
Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to share this in the next class that we are going to have next Thursday. First, we are going to discuss, try to make it in the text document itself. The case study that we did today, try to make the probes, right? And
Right.
we'll discuss it there. Good?
ठीक है, ma'am.
Okay, have a nice day.